Hello everyone, back again with a new project. I'm inside my house right now instead of in the shop because the start of this project is a little bit different than my other videos. Basically what we're getting ready to work on is a roof rack for Project Pathfinder. I've said that I was going to build this, finally have the money, so I'm getting ready to do the design process of that roof rack. I just went outside to the shop, the truck's in the shop, measured a few things on there. I used to have a roof rack on there, so I measured where the original roof rack mounted, not like the factory original, the original roof rack that I made. I measured where those mounts were, measured the width of where I want the roof rack to fit and the total length, so on and so forth, just a bunch of dimensions. I only missed one dimension that I'm going to have to go back and measure for, but it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, I'm going to design this up in a program called 3ds Max. It's made by Autodesk. I have a 2010 version of it. I'm not like an expert on it, so I'm not even going to begin to show you guys how to use that thing. I stumble my way through it and I'll figure it out. But I wanted to show you guys the design process so that you can see roughly what I'm trying to build before I actually start building it, and how I come up with some of my ideas. Some of it is just pencil paper drawings, keep it simple. Some of it I actually go into 3D and draw them up just because I want to see how it's all going to work, and have different angles and views to be able to really look at it and see how I like it. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do right now. Sit tight. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to a video that I shot while I was measuring in the shop so you can see kind of what I'm dealing with, and then we'll be right back here to the computer and we'll show you what I'm working with on the screen. So, showing you guys, for those that have not seen my truck, here it is. It's dirty, a lot of salt on it right now, but I'm gonna do some measuring here. And one thing that I want to take note is I already have some mounts already in here. You see this? This is from the old mounts. There's a plate underneath there. It's bent, and there's some nuts welded to it. Some 3/16 plate there and there on both sides. This side here has that third hole. What that third hole is access for the electrical for the lighting that I used to have, and I'm going to use that again. So I need to use those as measuring points. The original roof rack extended out to about right here. I'm probably going to do the same thing again, just because I used to mount my spare tire up front, but I want it to be close to the windshield because the LED lights are on there, but I don't want it to be too close to the edge, because what happens when you put your LEDs too close to the edge, or any light for that matter, is that you'll get glare down your windshield. So if you put it back a little bit, some of that glare will get washed out. But the drawback to it is that you're not going to get as good of a view range out front, because you're going to have like basically a wall limiting the light that shines down below. However, I'm also going to replace the bulbs in these with LED bulbs. And I may eventually put a small little 10-inch bar here in the center above a winch once I get around to doing that. But that's a whole nother project. Anyway, let's get to doing some measuring. I need to figure out what the width is. Unfortunately, I don't have my old rack anymore, so I need to find out what the mounting width is between this and the other hole. I need to figure out ballpark length, and I also want to figure out what the width is between this seam right here, this edge, and the other edge. So, with that being said, I'll be right back. I'm going to measure this out. We'll sit down in front of the computer and start drawing. Okay, so now you guys saw what I'm dealing with on my truck. This is my little desk, I guess. It's just a folding table with some material over the top and my ancient computer. Here's the program I'm using. Sorry about the shakiness. I'm holding it with my hand while trying to show you guys this. It's a program called 3ds Max. Okay, real good program. This is the 2010 version. I'm not going to begin to even show you guys how to use this program. I'm not an expert at it by any stretch of the imagination. I can get some basic stuff done, and that's pretty much it. I mean, some people may not think it's basic, but it definitely is compared to what this program is capable of doing. And I stumble my way around through it, but this is the program I use right now whenever I feel the need to draw something up in 3D so that I can actually get a really good idea of the way it's going to look. And with this roof rack, because this is the second one that I've done for my truck, I've decided that I was going to draw this one up so that this way I could really look at it and decide if I like the design or not. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time, a lot of hours in front of this program drawing this up. I'm not going to show it to you guys, but I will show you when it's done. I'm not going to show you the process because it's too long. Anyway, let me come over here to my dimensions. And you don't really need to pay attention to any of the dimensions. Why is this not focusing? Any of the dimensions other than the top two. Front to back, 70 inches total. Left to right, 48 inches. Okay. The other measurements are stuff that you don't have to be concerned with. I do, but you don't. And here's my steel supplier's website. So we're going to go right now to try to figure out what kind of metal we're using. This is all the process of how I do this. This is Klein Steel Direct, or Klein Steel, whatever you want to call it. Here locally in Syracuse it's called Klein Steel Direct. They have locations. Where are their locations? They changed their website recently, so. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. They change things. I can't find it. There they are. They got locations in Buffalo, New York, Albany. Why is that not going anywhere? Rochester and Syracuse. I must be already on the... There it goes. So, I'm in Syracuse. I'll click on Syracuse. Doesn't make too much of a difference, but it gives all their contact information down here below. If this ever decides to focus. There you go. Quick second pause if you want to read that. Anyway, here's their catalog. I've already got it pulled up to where I need to be. So, this is round tubing. Basically what we're looking at here is I was trying to decide between 1 inch or 7/8 of an inch. I kind of wanted to go thinner than 16 gauge, but I don't think that's an option anywhere, and that's the thinnest gauge that they have. So I'm going to go out to the shop right now. I'm going to take a look at the bender that I'm going to use to bend this tubing. I know I have a 1 inch die set. I'm not sure if I have a 7/8 die set, so I'm going to check that out. If I do, then I'm going to probably go with 7/8 just because it'll be cheaper, it'll be lighter, and it should be more than sufficient. The roof rack that I originally had on there was 3/4 inch square, 16 gauge, and it was plenty fine. This is not going to be a very tall roof rack. It's going to be a total of 4 inches from the bottom of the frame to the top of the frame. So the actual basket that stuff will sit inside of it will be even shallower than that. So anyway, the reason why I wanted to make it shallow was that with the roof rack that I originally had on there, it was taller than 4 inches, especially up towards the front because I had some lights inside into it. And I definitely felt the difference when on the interstate as far as drag's concerned. So decided to keep this a little bit low profile because I'm going to be putting an LED bar on the front of it. So anyway, I'm yapping. I'm going to head out to the shop, find out which die sets I have, what size of tubing I'm going to use, and then I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to spend a lot of hours in this. I'm not going to show you guys the entire process because this is a long drawn out thing. It's going to be hours and hours and hours. I will show you when it's done, give you a 3D view of it. I'll pull this program back up so you can see what I'm working with, and then we'll get to building this. So sit tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what we're going to use to bend that tubing. This is a bender made by Woodward Fab. It's not the greatest thing in the world. I've only used it at the moment for square tubing. So this will be the first time I've actually used this for round tube. So Anyway, the square die is on here. I'm going to open up the case and figure out what die sets I have for the round tubing. Here's the case that it comes in. And here's all the different die sets that you get in here. So, I do have a 7/8. You see that 7/8 round tube. That's actually the biggest round tube that I have. So it's a good thing that I checked this before I decided to run with a 1-inch die set, because I don't have a 1-inch tube. So, I'm not talking about my tube. I'm talking about the tube for the roof rack. Anyway, so we're going to run with 7/8. That's good to know. I do need to check something really quick. I need to figure out what the radius is on this bend, so that I could figure out how many inches it is from here to here, center line. So let me grab my measuring tape real quick, and I will discuss with you the mathematical equation that you need to know to figure out what that is. But the center line radius on this die set is, we're just going to go ahead and say that's 4 3/8. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and say that's 4 3/8. That's within a 1/16 of an inch, so that should be fine. So 4 3/8. I'm going to head back inside because it's cold as hell in my shop. I'll show you what the mathematical equation is to figure out what this distance is from here to here. I'm going to need to know that when I bend the tube. I'm also going to need to know that when I'm drawing this up in the program. And I've actually started drawing it, but I needed to run out here because I was getting the corners designed up, so I needed to figure out what that was. So I'll be right back. Show you guys that in a second. Hello everyone. Back inside the house. We figured out that our center line radius is 4 inches, or 4 3/8 of an inch. Okay. Now a center line radius, what that means is not the inside edge of the tube, not the outside edge of the tube, but from the center of the tube to the center of the bend. Okay. Radius is from the center of the circle to the outside edge. For us to figure out what we need to do, we need to be able to convert that 4 3/8 inch to a decimal point. The 3/8 needs to be converted, so we can figure this out mathematically on the calculator. How you convert that fraction to a decimal is pretty simple. Top number divided by the bottom number. So in this case, 3 divided by 8 gives us our decimal point, and if you look right here, that's our decimal point, 0.375. So our center line radius for that die set is 4.375 inches. Okay, now what we need to do to figure out our circumference is we need to double that so that we can get our diameter, which is all the way across the circle, like you see here. Then we're going to times that by pi, and pi is 3.14. So it's a pretty simple process. That'll give us our circumference. Then we're going to have to divide that by 4. Okay, the reason you're going to have to divide that by 4 is because a 90-degree bend is a quarter of the circumference. So 90 degrees times 4 equals 360 degrees. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently just because I can cut some of these steps in half. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this radius, I'm going to times that by pi, and then I'm going to divide it in half, and I should get the proper number. So, times 3.14 equals, divided by 2. Okay, so here's what we got. And I know this is correct because I've done the math on this twice. I did it the long way by figuring out the diameter, then going to the circumference, then splitting it up into 4. It's the same number. So, anyways, the length of the tube that is going to be required on that die set to make a 90-degree bend is 6 inches or 6.8, and we're going to round this up to 7. 6.87 inches of tube to make a 90 degree bend. Stop. Let me rewind because I'm getting all tongue-tied. On that die set, we're going to need 6.87 inches of tubing to make the entire 90 degree bend on that particular die set. So the reason why I needed that number is because over here in 3ds Max, you see that I have my bend here. This is my 90 degree bend. I have to make my bends separate when I'm drawing up this stuff. So I have my bend here, and I need to figure out what the length is. So I'm going to click on my piece of tubing, and I already have it set up. I just kind of guessed. So I'm going to come over here to tube, and I'm going to go in here to the height. And I have, actually my guess was really damn close if you look here. It's 6 inches. So I'm just going to say add the 0.87 to it, and even though, see how these are, the other dimensions are to the 32nd, this will convert it for me, so I don't have to worry about doing that math. If you want to figure out how to convert decimals back into fractions, go into Google and figure it out. When you're dealing with these programs though, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be converting over to decimals and so on and so forth. So anyways, I'm going to just hit enter, and it'll convert it into the 32nd. It actually is 27 over 32. So that's the length of tubing I'm going to need to make a 90 degree bend with that bender and that die set. Okay, so I'll be back. I'm going to continue on with this drawing and we'll go from there. So see you in a second. Okay everybody, so here's what I got so far. It's not quite finished, obviously. There's no feet on it. If you look right here, there's nothing connecting the LED bar or the front of this rack. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is do some 90 degree bends. It'll swoop down like that in a 90. What that'll allow me to do is have this pocket area here where I can attach to. Still going back and forth with that. I could always just drop a diagonal brace in here, but I'm not sure that I want to do that. I think the 90s behind the light would be better, because then they would give me a surface to mount on. Right now you see it being black and red. It looks kind of orange on my camera, but it's black and red. I seriously doubt it's going to be like that. It'll probably just be all black. The only way I could really do this would be like an unbelievable amount of painting, and it'd end up being sloppy, or I'd have to make the black panels removable. That's a possibility, but I don't know if I want to deal with that. I'm not even sure if I would like the black and red on my truck. My truck is black, red, and white, but I have my taillight guards that are 1 inch round tube, and those are going to be painted black. And it'd probably be a good idea to have the roof rack tubing match that, so it'll probably just be all black. If anything, maybe on the side, on these side panels, I may do something on there. I don't know. One of the things I'm not going to show in this drawing is the side panels will have holes punched in them. I'm not sure if I'm going to go all the way down it or just every so often or something. I've got to have some way to hook tie down straps to it. One of the other things that's not showing on here just yet is actually, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, if I do what I was saying here as far as the 90 degree bends, I'm going to have a little bit of a problem. And I'll show you why. There's going to be expanded steel on the bottom of this, and if those tubes swoop in at a 90, then I'm not going to have anything really to attach it to on the front, unless I notch the expanded steel around those tubes. That's something I could do, but I'm not so sure I want to, so I'll have to think about that. I may end up having to put another brace right here and just stop the expanded steel right there, because if you look, you know, I could just drop the brace in right here, which would line up with the top here, and then stop the expanded steel here, and then still bring in my 90-degree tubes there. I don't know. I'll have to think about that a little bit. These two rear sections here, I didn't want to do a full panel all the way across the back to avoid drag, but these two back little panels here, the reason why I put them there is because I would like to put in some recessed lights, or flush mounted lights of some sort. Still going back and forth if I just want those to be backup lights, you know, just clear, basically. Something where I can put on a switch, flip them on, get my rear facing lights going so that I got more light back there. Backing up on the trails at night, it's always nice to have as much light back there as possible. But my rear hatch lifts up when I'm accessing the back area of my truck, and my rear hatch actually lifts up, and it would be completely in the way of this, so I can't really put an LED bar back here without having the roof rack being much shorter than I want it to be. So I figure just some flush mount white lights, LED lights of some sort, would be good to inset in here and kind of keep that, you know, paneled look going on without it causing a tremendous amount of drag. You see the vertical tubes here? I'm going to drop at least 2 more somewhere along here, maybe 3 more, probably just 2 more, and then I'll have the ones in the very front. These side panels are going to be welded, so I really don't even need 2 more. I mean, I could just put 1 here in the front of it, probably drop it in at an angle just so it looks consistent, and then just punch the holes in, and these side panels will all be welded, stitch welded along here. So as long as there's holes there, that'll be plenty strong enough. These side panels will be 16 gauge, so just pretty stout stuff. I think it's going to turn out pretty nice. Anyway, let me know what you guys think for now. Let me see here. Let me get rid of something real quick here. There we go. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to stop this video for now. Part 2 of this video will show you the finished final product. As far as the 3D design, I'll have the metal ordered and everything, so now I know what I'm using as far as metal. I'm also in communication right now with the LED manufacturer. That might be something that I start selling here in the near future. So I've got to see how that all works out. But anyways, I don't want to start this until I get the actual LED bar in hand and the steel in hand, so that this way everything is perfect. You know, the reason why I got rid of my old roof rack is because it was real sloppy. This thing, I want it to be like completely production worthy, and it may be something that I decide to do a production unit on, depending on how much time it takes me to assemble it and a few other details. So anyway, subscribe, comment, like. Thanks for watching. Definitely let me know what you guys think of the design so far. Comments, feedback, stuff like that would be awesome. And that's about it. Make sure to check out the links in the description. Go like Alvarez Metalworks on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter if you use Twitter. And check out the website, alvarezmetalworks.com. All that stuff will be down below. So, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in part 2. Bye.